Hello and welcome. Today's video is all about the wide selection of fast zoom lenses for APS-C mirrorless cameras. All the zoom lenses that are available that are f1.8 or faster, larger diameter aperture. Are you ready? Here they all are. Here it is, the Sigma 17-40mm f1.8 art lens for APS-C mirrorless cameras. This lens is available for Fujifilm X mount, for Sony E mount, Canon RF crop mount, and then the L mount lenses camera system as well. So lots of options. It's not shipping just yet. I believe it was supposed to ship on July 11th at Kenmore Camera. We have not received our copy yet. Speaking of Kenmore Camera and other things related to that, here's some disclaimers. I did get this lens as a loaner from Sigma for a couple weeks. I am returning it. They have not seen this video prior to me releasing it to you all in the wild here. So there you go. If you have some questions about this lens that I don't cover in this video, please let me know in the comments below. I will also leave chapter markers so you can jump to the part of the video most interesting to you. So let's start with some general thoughts about this lens. This is the first art lens for APS-C mirrorless cameras. So at 17-40mm, that's approximately about a 25-ish to 60mm field of view in full frame equivalent. So it's a nice standard zoom lens, and that f1.8 is quite nice. Related to this, in lens design, we make trade-offs, or not we, they make trade-offs. I don't design lenses. I don't know enough. So the trade-offs in this lens are some size and weight for the ability to have a zoom lens that is this fast as far as aperture is concerned. So for some people like me who like zoom lenses, this is awesome, especially because I can have one lens that's really fast and replace potentially a whole bunch of primes, or at least 3 primes. So let's take a look at the availability of some prime lenses, at least in the Fujifilm X series cameras, so you can compare and decide maybe, hey, if you're a prime person, maybe this lens is for you. As I mentioned, this is a Sigma art lens, and they have 3 categories of lenses. So the contemporary is the best value. It's engineered to be smaller, lighter. They don't have aperture rings. They generally don't have weather sealing as far as full body construction weather sealing. And they also are made out of a very nice plastic called thermally stable composite. The art lenses are the lenses that are designed for optics first. So they're best optics, usually made out of full metal construction or mostly metal, weather sealed, aperture rings, other controls around the lens for flexibility and options. And then their other third series of lenses is called the Sport series. That's for their best performance as far as, just like it sounds, for sports. They're also fast autofocus, long range zooms, generally speaking, and they're built for harsh environments. So this is an art lens, so it's in the that category of lenses, and again, it's the first one for APS-C mirrorless. So comparing this lens to other options you might consider, let's start with zoom lenses you might consider. So the Fujifilm, XF 16-55 version 2 of their 2.8 lens is a little smaller and lighter, and it is more expensive. But you give up a stop and a third of light with f2.8. Nobody's making an f1.8 zoom lens besides Sigma right now. And then the other option in Sigma's lenses, their contemporary lens, is the 18-50 f2.8, which is $659. So it's less, also in price, smaller and lighter. I do have this lens. It's quite a nice lens. I think it kind of punches above its expectations as far as image quality and performance. You do give up aperture ring, you do give up full body weather resistance, and you also give up a stop and a third of light. So there you go on that. Let's say you are a prime person. You think, I'm going to use all the primes. So if you're in the Fujifilm system, which has the most, I think, options for prime lenses, here's the f1.4s. So this will be faster lenses by a third of a stop, so you'll get more light. But you're also, in the end, paying a lot more money. I have the 33mm f1.4, and it's one of my favorite lenses. There's something kind of special, I think, at least in that lens as far as the optics are concerned, and I've heard similar about the other f1.4 Fujifilms. So there you go. But let's add all that up. So if you wanted to carry those three prime lenses, you're going to have a bigger bill and a heavier bag. So it's going to cost you more money and it's going to weigh more compared to this one single Sigma lens. So that's kind of a neat thing to think about. If you like some flexibility, if you like to have a little bit lighter bag and you want to have this range of focal lengths, here's another option for you. If you compare it to the f2s from Fujifilm, so those will be smaller, lighter, and less expensive. Here's those options, the 18, the 23, and the 35. Again, smaller, lighter, and all that good stuff. And total price will now still be more, but you will have a little bit lighter bag than, believe it or not, just a single, the Sigma 17-40mm. But you'll be changing lenses, and you still give up a third stop of light. So all these trade-offs. Adulting and lens buying is complicated. So some options for you. Whether you are a prime person or a zoom lens, I think this could be your new bag of primes in a single lens, potentially. So something to think about there. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the construction of the lens. Then we'll get into all the performance elements and image quality. So let's talk about first construction and ergonomics. You do have an aperture ring on here, which is quite nice. It's nicely clicked. You can also turn the click off if you would prefer for video use and other applications like that. And the focus, the zoom ring is very smooth. Focus ring is also smooth, works actually quite nicely for manual focusing. I did a little bit of testing with that, and it works very nicely. So it's a metal lens. It feels solid. It's nice and all that good stuff. One complaint ergonomically. One complaint. So here it is. When I'm on my XH2S and I want to change the aperture ring is pretty close to the body. Additionally, the aperture ring does not have any grip where the numbers are, which is where my hand tends to fall on the aperture ring. So it's a little hard. Also, it's really tight against so it's kind of hard to change the aperture on here. At least for me, I'm used to the aperture ring being about a 1/4 inch farther out. So something to consider, at least again, because this camera has a grip, my hand's in the way. So it's not the easiest to alter the aperture ring when you're using the aperture on the lens. You can set it so that the aperture ring is set to the A mode, and then you can set aperture with the command dials on your camera. So that's one little picky thing, but that's about the only thing I don't like about this lens so far. So spoiler alert, I guess. So some thoughts on that. Autofocus performance. Oh my goodness, it's so fast. It is so quiet. And it's really, really accurate in my experience. It is literally just about silent. I think it's about the quietest lens I've heard for autofocus. It's just a little and you can't even really hear it if there's any kind of noise in the environment you're in. So this will be nice, I think, if you want to use autofocus for video. Speaking of autofocus for video, I used it at one of our classroom events at Kenmore Camera and had really good experience with video autofocus. Between, I think, the algorithm in the camera and then the improved autofocus algorithms in the Fujifilm firmware updates, it's got a very nice and smooth focus pull if you're focusing from near to far or vice versa. It's a nice smooth transition. It's not jumpy. And it's very pleasant, I think. So I'm sure another thing you're interested in knowing about is image quality. Also include a little bit of just for fun, bokeh and sun stars, and we'll also address vignetting and a little bit of sharpness, just a little bit. regarding this lens and its performance around vignetting. So what Sigma has done, and a lot of companies are doing now, one way to reduce complexity of the lens and the number of elements in it that are doing corrective things, which also then will reduce cost and weight, is to do some of the image correction in camera or in software. So what they've decided to do is a lot of vignetting and chromatic aberration correction in camera and or in software. And I'll show you an example of that. So I'm going to show you two photos at 17 millimeters, just an architecture photo with some blue sky. And one will have the profile corrections and one will not have the profile corrections. So let's take a look at that. So the photo on the left is 17 millimeters with my edits. By the way, all the photos you see do include my edits, which starts with classic chrome film simulation in Lightroom Classic, and then I apply my edits to taste. So the photo on the left has profile corrections at f5.6 and no profile corrections on the right. So you can see there's a little vignetting at f5.6. Let's take a look at 1.8. And you have significant vignetting without the profile corrections, but pretty minimal, if almost non-existent, vignetting with profile corrections. So one way to make this lens, the price it is at $929 US, and the size and weight is to not do some of these things optically. I think it's a fair trade. It works really nicely in my experience. I don't think there's much in the way of downside to this, unless you're a purist and want everything done optically. So there you go. Here's another architecture photo at 17 millimeters. This one's at f8. Again, just a clear blue sky, my edits. This one does have profile corrections. I included this a little bit also to show just a teeny bit about corner sharpness. Down in the bottom part of this photo, there's those rivets or screws into the side of the building, and they're pretty sharp. Sharp enough, at least for me. I'm not super picky about corner sharpness in my photos. I really like how this lens renders colors and contrast and graduations. It's really smooth, quite dramatic. I love this contrasty light here. And that blue color, I have shifted the blues a little to my preferred color of blue, but I really like how this looks. Here's another photo from the Kenmore Farmers Market, 40 millimeter f1.8. Give you a little sense of how the bokeh behavior is, as well as autofocus here. Really quickly autofocused on the people through this little hole in this plant I'm photographing through. So I really like how that works. Some corn, a minimum focusing distance is pretty nice. It works nicely, I think, for some decent image magnification. I'd always prefer it to be closer, but I like getting close to stuff. So there's that. Here's a mushroom, some really interesting mushrooms up close at about 30 millimeters. Again, you get a sense of the bokeh behavior here, as well as sharpness when you're up close at f1.8. Sun stars, I kind of like to just see what they do here. Also, we can check a little bit for flaring here. So through some of the Japanese leaf maples outside my front door at our condo, here's f16 at 40 millimeters. You do get a little flaring. I don't mind it at all. I kind of like the character of that. I like the character of the sun star here. It's kind of neat. Here's at f1.8. Interesting note here. I couldn't see this flare, this kind of ghost, in camera. It showed up in the photo, but it wasn't showing up in the viewfinder. So there it is. I don't know what to say, except optics are interesting, and I don't quite understand all the subtleties of how they work. Bokeh behavior, here's 40 millimeters, f1.8, just threw it out of focus. I think this is probably about 10 feet away from the tree with some leaves and in the sun. And here's a little more real world example at 30 millimeters, f1.8. So you get a sense of the background blur. I think it's nice behavior of the bokeh balls. They're nice and clean, mostly round as expected, and they behave nicely. So in the little bit of time I had with this lens, I really liked it. It's quite impressive for having a single lens that can do a lot of things. For my particular use cases, here's where I know I would use this lens, and I'm considering getting one. I'm 95% sure I'm going to get one. Let's put it that way. So I would use it at events. As that f1.8 is really, really handy, and the relatively wide focal length for wide shots, obviously wide, I just said it twice, and with a little bit of flexibility for composition changes to 40 millimeters. That f1.8 is really, really handy. It worked really well at the one event I photographed at Kenmore Camera, the one class we had, and it was really a really pleasant surprise how well that worked. I think another use case for me would be for night street photography. Night out in the city, urban photography, again, minimizing the number of lenses I'm carrying, but still getting that fast aperture. I think that would work really nicely. Also, I think this would be an interesting lens to try for astro. I've not really done astro. It's on my list of things I would like to try, but that relatively fast aperture f1.8 would be fun to try out, and the 17 millimeters would be, I think, a nice field of view for a lot of astro. And then you can also have the option to go to 20 or 25 or 30 or 40. It's always good to have options, I think. So for me, I think it's a fascinating lens. It's really well made. I really like the quality of the images that I got in the limited time I have with the lens. I'm really glad this lens exists. I think it's neat that there is a new, basically, category of lens, a very fast aperture zoom lens. So one way to differentiate yourself in any crowded market and a mature market like our digital photography stuff is to do something different. And Sigma has done that with this lens. It's wonderful optically. I think it's a good value at $929 US. And I really like the image quality and the versatility of this. So it checks a lot of boxes for me personally. If you're a prime only person, I suggest going to your local camera store and putting your hands on it when it's in stock and seeing what you think of it. I think you might be surprised. It's heavier than most primes and larger, but if you're doing fast primes, it's not far off from that size and weight of some of those too. So again, some trade-offs, but I think the bang is worth the buck here. So that's my opinion. As always, if you have any questions on this video, comments, suggestions you'd like to add, please leave them in the comments below, and I'm glad to have conversation with you about all that. I'll be seeing you again soon, hopefully in the next another video down the road. And until I do, I hope you stay safe, stay well, and have fun creating photos. Bye for now.